The agenda for today's meeting is to consider the report of the Auditor General on the County Assembly of KISII for the year ended 30th June 2022 and 30th June 2021. Senator Mtata, would you propose?
I propose.
And I will second that.
Okay.
The next order will be administration of oath. The clerk of the Senate will guide the speaker, and thereafter the clerk.
I, Dr. Philip NYANUMBA, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before this committee in respect of the matters before the committee shall be the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the whole truth, so help me God.
I, Onkyo Jacob, clerk of the KISII County Assembly, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before this committee in respect of the matters before the committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Okay, now you will table your written responses and supporting annexures. What a clerk.
Document before the committee. Management responses and accompanying annexures for the County Assembly of KISII County for the financial years 2020, 2021, and 2021, 2022. Please. So sorry. Okay.
That was for the 2 financial years. So, Auditor General, please confirm to us that what's been tabled, you have been able to review and you're ready to prosecute.
Yes, Chair. They brought the response on time and we were able to verify, Chair. So the committee can proceed.
Okay, Clerk of the Senate, please.
Yes, Chair, I do confirm that we received the responses on time.
Okay, so if that is the case, then I believe we should be able to proceed with utmost efficiency. Since you are dealing with 2 financial years, we usually start with the most recent, but I think let's start, now that we've gotten the brief from the Auditor General, let's just knock off 2021, 2021. We start with 2020, 2021, and then go to 2021, 2022. So, Auditor General, there are those issues that you had indicated had been resolved to your satisfaction. You will point them out so that we deal with the matters that are still outstanding. So starting with the report for the year ended 30th June 2021. Proceed. Yeah. What was your opinion and what was the basis?
Thank you, Chair. The opinion for this client in 2021 is qualified opinion. And it had only one observation in the qualified opinion, Chair, is about unsupported expenditure on foreign travels and domestic, where they supported the foreign travel expenditure, but the MCS, which they did in public hiring or for public participation, they could not really support fully with the ETR receipts from KRA, Chair.
So if there's a part of it that is unresolved, just read the entire finding so that we deal with what remains unresolved.
Chair, thank you. Now, unsupported expenditure on foreign travels and domestic travel. The statement of receipts and payment for the year ended 30th June 2021 reflect an expenditure of 301,913,481 on use of goods and services as disclosed in Note 5 to the financial statement. The balance include amount of Kenya shillings 2,454,662 in respect of foreign travel and subsistence. However, supporting documents for the expenditure was not provided for audit review. Further, the note includes domestic and travel expenditure of 137,306,830, out of which an amount of 11,350,000 was incurred on public participation. The expenditure was incurred through cash purchases from temporary impress issued to members of County Assembly, MCAs for hiring of public address system, public round tents and chairs, purchase of stationery, refreshments, snacks and beverages, and payment of facilitation fees to the members of public during various public participation activity in April, May, and June 2021. Review of the documents supporting the public participation in pre-surrender vouchers revealed that the attendance list was not signed by all participants. Further, the attached cash sale receipt did not have official KRA electronic tax register receipt to confirm that the trading entities were tax compliant. In the circumstance, the validity and occurrence of foreign and domestic travel and subsistence expenditure of Kenya shillings 2,454,662 and 137,306,830 respectively for the year ended 30 June 2021 could not be confirmed. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. As is a custom.
Thank you, Chair. The management response is here as follows. 1. The missing support documents for the foreign travel expenditure of Kenya shillings 2,454,108 are hereby attached. The documents had been misplaced during a reconciliation exercise on the counter assembly's operations that was being carried by the Kenya Revenue Authority. 2. It is true that surrender of some interest for public participation activities was supported by cash sale receipts that were not accompanied by official electronic tax register, that is ETR, receipt from Kenya Revenue Authority. Most of the activities were carried out in semi-rural areas of the county wards where ETR receipts were not easily available. These public participation programs were mainly spearheaded by members of the county assembly with assistance from their ward office employees who were not well capacitated in accounting for government interests. However, to remedy this oversight, the management has operationalized the liaison section within the assembly to handle all public participation activities and programs. Annex 1, A, copies of payment vouchers, B, authority of foreign travel, and C, copies of passports. Thank you, Chair.
Auditor General, there are two parts to that query. There is a 2.4 million being foreign travel expenditure. Has that been resolved to your satisfaction?
Yes, Chair, because they provided documents plus boarding passes.
Then there's 11.3 million incurred on public participation.
This is where, Chair, we could not really verify because we were expecting, yes, they provided the document, but they were missing links like now ETR together with some of the members who didn't sign the attendance register.
Clerk, you have indicated that you have operationalized the liaison section within the assembly, but you have not provided any evidence to that effect. What is this liaison section? How relevant is it to deal with these gaps that have been highlighted by the Auditor General?
I think, Chair, it is true that during the public participation exercise, there are two issues which were raised there. First issue, that the register was not signed by all members. That was true, because you see, during this exercise, the people we expect in public participation, they are our people from the remote areas. And it is true that when these people were coming to the public participation, I think there was a small oversight that when the employees of the MCS, when they were doing the exercise, as some of the members were coming, they were coming and leaving without signing that register. That was an oversight, which as the assembly, when this issue was raised by the auditor, we decided that we must have now from the assembly an office which is separate from the employees of the MCS to administer this kind of exercise whenever we have the public participation. Because most of the public participation were carried in our remote areas, as well as Moticho Ward in Bukilango. And now, if we were to leave the exercise solely for the MCS, it was becoming hard for us to get some of these documents, like the ATL receipts and the register being signed. So as an assembly, we said that we must have a section in the assembly wherever the MCS are going for public participation, which would be managing this exercise. That's the purpose of that section, Chair.
That's what I want to understand. What does it do? Because these MCAs, and for your information, even we as senators will soon be doing some of these public participation things within the Senate Oversight Fund arrangement. And maybe there could be something that KISII County Assembly has done that we can copy. So what value does a liaison office add if the vice chair, who is a member of county assembly, for which ward? How far is it from KISII town, the center? Yeah, make sure the mic is on. Yes.
Yeah, but then there is 20 kilometers from KISII town.
So if you want to do a public participation event, you know your people, you know where you are meeting them, but the speaker has now a liaison office that he wants to manage that public participation engagement. Does it add value or it frustrates, it slows down the execution of public participation events?
What it does is that now the MCAs are not in charge of the interests. The interest is administered by that liaison office, because the MCAs, in that case, the MCAs were issued with the imprints. They were not able to get receipts because even our second largest town in KISII, which is Ogemo, so many shops do not have ETR receipts. It is everywhere in Kenya. They do not have. But now, the liaison office will administer those interests. They make sure that the ETR receipts are gotten, or we buy from the shops which have ETR receipts. Therefore, the MCAs are not directly in charge of the same. But again,
does an MCA have like an office manager?
Yes.
So what is the role of the office manager in that arrangement?
I want to say that the people who are employed, they are called person staff. We are given 3 members of staff, and 3, and as they have indicated here, they do not, sometimes they do not have capacity, because when you employ your 3 people who work for you, sometimes you are forced to employ people, maybe because of political affiliation. Therefore, they may not be having the capacity, but the county assembly liaison office now has started training, at least in one way or another, training the people who have been employed by the MCAs, so that they can have that capacity in making sure that they follow the government regulations.
I think we will, Auditor General, we will allow you to test the effectiveness of this arrangement, because even the Senate has a similar liaison desk, but the actual expenditure is done by the Senator's office manager. If everything was to be centralized in Nairobi, that Busia impressed are managed from Nairobi, and Kwale or Kilifi impressed are managed from Nairobi, it becomes a problem. And that's why the Senator's manager then becomes the focal point for expending and liaising with that central liaison office to ensure that there is compliance. It's something you guys can look at and see whether it would work better under those circumstances. Senator Omtata.
My concern, when the Honorable Speaker was talking, my mind was running before you gave out this money to the MCAs and before you blamed their workers, the officers of the MCAs. Did you tell them that you required, when you go for public participation, you require ABCD? Because I don't think that the kind of problem we have here would be attributed to the lack of capacity in an MCA's office. Because anybody who can read and write should be able to know what to pick and to get. Because my office, I've got people who have gone up to class 8 working for me, some, and they just do an excellent job once you tell them what you need is ABCD. So I don't know, maybe you did not prepare the teams you sent out well enough to know that when they go out, they need to pick ABC, they need to have people signing on the documents, they need to have people doing the stuff. So maybe that way might be a better way of proceeding. so that we don't lose that devolution of power in the, because all we are after is devolution. We would like to devolve power to the ward. So we want to see wards running their things and systems. And in fact, it was a push that we need to get a third layer of government down there. So maybe we need to look at it and maybe try to go back and interrogate whether the failure was failure to let people know what to do on the ground other than their ability to do what was supposed to be done. That's all, Honorable.
Any comment on that, on the feedback from the Senate?
I think, Chair, as the Senator Mutata said, of course, they all issued support for reason, that's development services, and I think we need to review that. Especially now, we have the 3 parts and staff to MCS, but you see sometimes some challenges we do get with the 3 parts and staffs. It's that, they are on the mass of the MCS. We don't know at which point that the MCA will terminate their services. So we thought it was better, as much as they are there, it is good that we have an office which can coordinate with them to make sure that everything moves on effectively to avoid some of these questions in the future.
Yeah, there's, I think that principle, take the money in cash, because that's a political culture. How do you validate that? How do you, how do you draw the line between public participation and bribery or treatment? Because even some of the things you're explaining here, if you want people to come and comment on a bill, should you pay them to come? And yet that is what happens. That if you don't pay, they don't come. And if they don't come, then the bill cannot proceed because there was no public participation. So we must be clear, when we spend public funds on public participation, we must be very clear in our minds what we are, the effect of that expenditure. Is it to treat them, to see things in a particular light? Is it to bribe them to agree with you? So I think we have some work, Senator Tata, and we need to look at the different decisions that have come from the courts to enrich the public participation bill before the House. So Auditor General, please keep an eye on this and check whether those controls have led to an improvement in accounting for those expenses.
I'll comply, Chair.
Okay. The next matter is on budgetary control and performance, and which is related to late exchequer releases.
Yes, Chair.
We know we've got a problem when it comes to that. Exchequer releases, what we have observed is sometimes the executive gets money, but then tells the assembly that hatujapata pesa. I don't know whether that is a problem in KISII County Assembly, or your executive is good whenever they get money from money to the county revenue fund, they send to the assembly immediately.
I think, Chair, let me go on record that since we started this session of the third fruition current of since we get our constitution, this administration of the new executive, we have not had any challenge of releasing our funds whenever we request. But nevertheless, there is 1 or 2 challenges, because sometimes, unless we get from the control, the COP, we may not know exactly when money has been available from the treasury. So I think it is an issue, one I can request through the chair, that the Senate, if possible, they can see the mechanism they can try to assist us so that we can get our funds from treasury earlier now, so that we do our activities plan. 2, it is true, the chair, that we request as the assembly, if we can get, the assemblies can get their financial autonomy. although I know you are in the process, and I know Honorable Mutata has been on record over the same, if we can fast track this kind of financial autonomy so that as the Assembly we can be able to manage our funds, then some of these problems, I think they will be reduced to substantial level. Yeah, thank you.
Well, the Senate is committed to processing the necessary instruments to allow financial autonomy for county assemblies. But the county assemblies must also not just sit as passengers. We need to see some activism, some advocacy. We are going to look at a matter where you have been sending money to SOCAT, and we'll be dealing with that at that point in time. And you've been sending money to CAF, and you are not able to demonstrate what CAF has done to further the welfare of the county assemblies. I am aware that right now there are two contradictory circulars that have come from the CRA, and one county assembly has gone to court to challenge the matter. I think it is Embu, Embu County Assembly. Why would Embu go to court and you've got CAF? How do you justify the money that goes to CAF? And that's why we have a problem with this thing called CAF and these things called SOCAT, that they do not serve the collective needs of the assemblies. Perhaps they serve the individual needs of a few people who are in those leadership positions. So even this financial autonomy, as a speaker, you should be knowing how far the Senate has gone if CAF was useful and if it was functional as per the mandate that some speakers have told us about CAF. So it's something you guys must work on. The vice chair of that outfit, the speaker for Machakos, was here. And we said we were going to give them 2 weeks to engage the Senate on critical issues that require the support of the Senate. The 2 weeks have lapsed. We have not received any request for a meeting. And so our position on CAF will remain unchanged, that it is an illegal organization that is not benefiting members. And the same for SOCAT. We'll deal with it at the end. So I brought that up to just to contextualize the issue of late exchequer releases, because sometimes the problem is the Treasury, the National Treasury, but sometimes the problem is the county treasury. So we'll take your responses on record. Pending bills?
It is true, Chair. This one was resolved because already the major expenditure, which was 59 out of 64, almost 90% was related to county headquarters, which they are paid.
So there are no pending bills relating to that financial year?
In that financial year, it was cleared in 2022, Chair.
Okay. We proceed to the extension of library, ICT center, and procurement of offices.
Yes, Chair. In the extension, this was attached to the main building, and it is completed with practical completion certificate. However, it was finished late, Chair.
What was the total cost of this project?
It's 195 million.
195 million. Was there any variation, Clerk?
No.
So there was no variation order at all? 195 was the original contract amount?
No,
and that is
Chair.
what was delivered?
Yes, Chair. That was it.
Do you know how many square feet you delivered, or square meters?
No, Chair.
Do you have the relevant documents here?
Yes.
You see, when you're building and projects of such magnitude, you must be able to know what you're delivering to the public. The same way when you're buying land, you must know the acreage, isn't it? Can you buy land without knowing the acreage?
No, Chair.
So can you build a building without knowing the square feet or square meters that you have delivered?
Oh,
Because that's a standard of measure.
Oh, it's only shown in the architectural plans, Chair.
Where is it?
Is it? We didn't carry it, but we have only the
This is
annexed
extremely
form.
important, because
Yes.
I've seen county assemblies that have budgeted 500 million. Bungoma's headquarter was 500 million. KISII is 195 million.
Yes, Chair.
With how many members?
71 members, Chair.
71 members.
Yes.
I know another county assembly that is planning to spend 450 million, and it is smaller than KISII. So we need to start doing an index.
But Chair, I think there's a correction there. The building we are talking about, they are accommodating offices for the staff, not really the assemblies, the chambers for the assembly. So,
well, yes, we will, when doing the index, it must be like for like. And that one, the Office of the Auditor General can do. But back to the question of how many square meters did you deliver? Was it a renovation or it was a new building?
It was a new building hosting the extension of library chair, ICT center, and procurement offices. Staff, mainly staff.
Procurement of offices to host the members of county assembly. Was this to host members of county assembly or to host staff?
And some officers of staff, for example, the speaker is hosted there and the leadership.
What about the rest of the MCAs?
There are also the other officers for the same, in a different building.
In a different building?
Block, yes, Chair.
Also part of the 195 million?
No, Chair.
That one was inherited?
No, it still was constructed in the first assembly.
In the first assembly?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so the 195 is not totally representative of the accommodation for all members, for all the 67 members.
No.
Okay, so you in the annexures you have come with, there's nothing that shows us the square feet or square meters that was delivered.
It was in the file. What we have delivered in the annexure is the photograph of the building and the completion certificate. So in the plan, we didn't carry the file for the plan, Chair.
We might have to have a conversation with Public Works to help us paint a picture on the expenditure on infrastructure for county assemblies, particularly the office blocks and assembly chambers, so that we are sure that we are getting value for money from those investments. I think Public Works would be the best entity.
Liaising with the county works within their regions.
Yeah.
Yes, Chair.
Okay.
And maybe also, Chair, for purposes of standardization, we may want Public Works to help us design some of these things, so that we come up with a building that you look at and know this is a government building. Because some of these things you look at them and you just find out what's going on. So there could be some standardization through the Ministry of Works. So you can have several designs, you can select one, but then the standards and the quality of works and what have you should be of the kind that reflects government, like this building does, KISII. When you enter there, you feel power. Even when you see it, you feel power. So we'd like to see this kind of very, very well done buildings coming up in the counties.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid observation, so that you are able to see a building and know that this is a government building. You can tell that this is a people's chamber. If you go to the US, most of the state legislatures, they have a fairly consistent design. The rotunda, modeled on the Capitol, and you can tell that you're getting into a legislative body. I think that's from the fiduciary risks report summary that the Parliamentary Budget Office is working on. Those are some things that we can propose for the House to adopt. We proceed then to the law on fiscal responsibility on wage bill, and I think this one we have discussed with the Auditor General. Again, we are saying that the regulations will need to be reviewed so that we've got a different threshold for county assemblies. The 35% relates to county executive or the county government as a whole. But when it comes to the county assembly, most of the expenditure will be on personnel emoluments and recurrent. With the law on ethnic composition, again, this one, there is a law and you're not complying. Can you tell us why?
I have done the management response. The management acknowledges that the KISII County Assembly staff composition is made up of members of the dominant ethnic community in the county. However, out of the 274 employees, 135 are ward office staff on contract and are usually recruited from their wards of origin to serve the members of the county assembly. The remaining 139 employees were recruited by the service board. Some of the staff members were inherited from the defunct municipal council, while nearly all applicants for jobs when devolved governance was established were from the local community. However, the management has taken note of the auditor's recommendations and shall endeavor to correct the situation in future appointments.
Clerk, are you aware of Section 65 of the County Governments Act and Section 7 of the National Cohesion and Integration Act?
Yes, Chair, I am aware of the sections.
So what responsibilities do those sections of the law place on the County Assembly of KISII?
Well, Chairman, that's why we have said that indeed it's a challenge, and normally what was done is that we inherited much of the employees from the defunct municipal council, and much of the staff come from the wards of origin, as I've already alluded to. But we have tried as much as possible, whenever there is a chance, we have a few from different ethnic communities. Our director HR is a case in point who is here with us, does not come from KISII County. She comes from Gore County.
Speaker, as the chair of the board, because these are some policies, these are policy issues that the board should be seized of. It is the law. It is not Kajwang or Omtata saying it. It is what the law says. So while, if you can't comply with the law, what you need to demonstrate is certain actions born out of policies that you have approved that will lead to fulfillment of the law. If you tell us we shall endeavor to correct the situation in future, that is basically telling us you're going to do nothing. You're doing nothing and you're going to do nothing. What we need to see is perhaps even a policy statement or a policy that has been approved by the board to give effect to the requirements of the law. Do you have anything?
Yeah, what the process we are in, Chair, because of the ceiling, you know, the ceiling from SRC was that we are capped in the number of staff that we employ. Now that we are over, what the process is that we have decided as an assembly that whenever there will be recruitment and or when we have an issue to come with the natural attrition and retirement, we're in the process saying that we shall consider members from other communities. But currently, as is constituted, we have the ceiling is capped.
You are feeding us with excuses. What I'm asking for, is there a deliberate policy statement adopted by the board that talks about progressive realization of the requirements of the law as far as diversity is concerned?
I tell Chair, true. Of course, I am the chair of the service board, and this is my first chair. Because when we were discussing about all these issues, some of the issues we agreed with that we must address them. And as you have said, because we were considering and we were even benchmarking what other counties have done over the issue, it is true that as much as we have not put we have not prepared the policy statement over the same, but as a board, we're in the process actually to ensure. And it is a good idea that you have brought on us that we need a policy statement, maybe, which would be writing us, even now and even in the future. Even if we get out of the office, that there will be a policy. I think we as the board, we do the undertaking that immediately we leave here, that's what we will start doing as a board, because my vice chair, so that we make sure that that policy statement, it is there for now and even for the future. But let me agree that since we came to the office, there is no that policy. I think I do take an undertaking that we need to do something immediately so that it can assist us now and even for the future. But I can agree it is not there, Chair.
Senator Mtata?
I think maybe I could. We're looking at your response. You have mentioned a place that you advertise and only locals are applied. So you have had opportunities to cure this. I think what the law, if you look at the law, it begins with an effective date. When you go to the act, you tell the effective date was this. So this law had an effective date, which means by that day, that's what should have happened. So there's no room for progressive realization. And it's also anchored on affirmative action, sort of, to make sure that maybe there are minorities in the community or whatever the dominant community does not swallow up everything. So what we would like to see in this, what the chairman is calling the policy, if we develop one, we would really want to see quarters reserving slots for non-locals. So that if nobody applies, then that slot remains vacant, you re-advertise. Not that you do a general advert and locals apply and you fill all the slots. What this law anticipates really is that you have to set aside a quarter or 1/3 of the whatever it is that you can only fill using people who meet that criterion. You cannot advertise all the vacancies and then go ahead to fill them, you see. So you need to say a quarter must come from, or a third or a half must come from here. And if you don't get anybody, you re-advertise until you get people, those vacancies stay. That's how you're going to cure this. But if you say that we advertise and when the locals came in and whatever, then it will not work, because some people may not apply thinking that now because I don't come from KISII and I come from Malindi, KISII will not consider me. But if in your advert you said, out of these 10 jobs, 3 or 4 are reserved for non-locals, then somebody in Malindi will say, these people have said that I qualify in this category, I qualify. That's the kind of policy the chairman wants to see. Not a statement of intent that maybe we are going to do this in the next 12 years. No. It should be really a policy whereby you are reserving quotas and doing something practical to implement, because that requirement came effective when the law came in. So you should only be able to demonstrate that you have set aside these jobs, but your takers are not coming by. Thank you, Chair.
Let me allow Senator Methu to go on record.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman. My name is John Methu, Senator for Nyandarua, and I'm a member of this committee. And Honorable Chair, if you allow me, because I can see where we are in terms of the issue to do with the ethnicity, I would want to ask through you, Chairman, because as Senator Mtata is saying, you must show a demonstration as to how you want to cure this. And I want to pose this question directly to the Speaker, who is the Chairman of the Board. Out of the members of staff in your office that are partisan, that do not require competitive recruitment, how many have you picked from other ethnicities, so that you can demonstrate that you really want to cure this problem?
Sincerely, I have not picked 10 because you see those positions, they does not need any advertisement. But
yeah, that's more reason why it was easier for you now, because you do not need any advertisement. You would have cured if you really wanted to show a demonstration. Forget the issues that you spoke about, the ceiling. The issues that that one does not require a ceiling. It is you that is hand picking. I want this one. So if you wanted a Kikuyu, you just pick a Kikuyu. If you wanted a Kalenjin, you pick a Kalenjin. So there's no demonstration that you want to cure this problem.
Yes, Vice Chair.
I'm saying, like, on the issue of parts and stuff, some wards are very rural, whereby we do not have any other ethnic community staying.
No, you are on a question that I have not asked Vice Chair. I asked the chairman of the board, because you do not say that there are no Kikuyus in KISII town. I mean, KISII town is not rural.
I was not only answering that because there is something I want
Order, Vice Chair, addressed through the chair. Senator Matthew.
Because the way the chairman of the board was speaking, looks like there is, difficulties in sorting this problem. But if you wanted to cure this problem, you'd have told us. Now, see, my driver is a Borana. My personal secretary is a what? So I don't think there's any demonstration from your side, Speaker, to cure this problem. And I'm happy that you have acceded to that position.
So, yeah, if I may.
Senator Omtata.
Yes, and I would like to underscore what Senator Nyandaro has said, because, like me, I come from a community whereby Busia has got one of the largest suppliers of policemen in this country. Very many people are employed as policemen. When it came to picking a bodyguard, and given looking at the composition of what I had employed, my bodyguard, I picked a person. I went to the JSU and said, get me somebody who is not a Luya, who is not a Teso, who is not a Luo, because these are the dominant communities in Busia. And they brought me at Turkana. That's my bodyguard. When I wanted to get an analyst, I have a person from Nyeri, who is my analyst, working for me. So, the issue of, this is something you have to go out of the way to consciously do. And I think we need to understand that why this was put there is that formerly when we have the unitary system, the public service was one of the main tools of integration. You will find that the Kikuyus who are in KISII maybe have a relationship with their fathers working there, or there were teachers there or something. So when now the devolution came, they realized that if there's no deliberate push to use employment, public employment for integration, the nation is going to fall apart. So it's a very strong part of nation building to have communities from elsewhere coming to live with us, and our people are going to live elsewhere. That is the glue that will hold this country together. So it's a very strong requirement for integrating the country and moving it forward. So I hope you'll give it the weight it deserves. And next time you appear here, you will tell us a story that will, and it will show us that you are really implementing that requirement of the law.
And I think we will provide guidelines to all the county assemblies, not just to KISII, that each county assembly must come up with what we'll probably call a diversity policy statement that will have to be adopted by the board. And in that diversity policy statement, you will address diversity with respect to ethnicity, with respect to gender, and with respect to persons with disabilities and youth. Because it is a constitutional requirement. I've just been looking at Article 197 that talks about county assembly gender balance and diversity. It talks about diversity with respect to gender. It talks about cultural diversity of a county. It talks about ensuring that minorities within counties are protected. So it's not just about get a Giriama to come and work in KISII, but what about the minorities in KISII? Because I believe there could be minorities in KISII. In Homa Bay, the neighboring county, there are minorities. We have the Abasuba, who are minorities. So the Constitution requires you to address that. Senator Omtata has always reminded us that the Constitution is supreme. And that's why he wins a lot of cases in court, because he appreciates where the supremacy of laws start from and originate from. So the Article 197 is very clear. It calls on Parliament to enact legislation. And that is what has given rise to the NCIC Act and the County Governments Act. So let's not, my concern is that in your response, you have given a very casual response. But I think next time you come before us, you must demonstrate that as a board, you have discussed your obligations under the acts, your obligation under the Constitution. And this is a position that you come up with that will ensure progressive realization. And you can even demonstrate that when you're looking for an internal auditor, you put some ethnic quotas, for example, to achieve that diversity. That can apply to all the county assemblies so that this matter is dealt with. As long as those two laws are still in effect, we will continue to question this. We proceed now to the internal control issues. There was an ineffective audit committee function. Auditor General, what is your assessment now?
Yes, they have mitigated by employing the committee members, Chair.
Can you confirm, Speaker, you've got an audit committee?
Yes, Chair. When we came to office, we employed the audit committee and it's on operation.
Okay.
It's operating.
So, Auditor General, you can check that even in your ongoing audit.
Chair.
Okay. And effectiveness of the audit committee, part of it that we discussed with when I think it was Migori that was here, the audit committee submits its reports to the County Public Service Board. What are the reporting lines for the audit committee?
I think audit committee, let them ask first.
OAG?
I'm saying let management respond.
Yes. How do the reports of the audit committee get processed?
Chair, the audit committee, they are almost independent because they do their things independently. But more importantly, they submit their report to the service board for the consumption of the assembly when they send it to the service board.
How frequently?
Oh, it's supposed to be quarterly.
And does it happen quarterly?
Yeah. Although that's another issue. Actually, Chair, you need to assist the assemblies. Yes, they submit quarterly, but sometimes they have challenges because of their allowances. Those people are paid so, they are not paid anything, Chair, if I can say so. Because if you can pay 6,400, Chair, that's the Chair, per quarter. Sincerely speaking, we are not even motivating them to come and work. We are only pushing them as an assembly that kindly there are some things you need to do. As much as they are working, Chair, we are just pushing them. It's an issue which need to be looked at. The allowances, it is very literal, Chair.
That notwithstanding, have they been reporting on a quarterly basis?
Yes, the one we had put in place, they had been reporting.
Okay,
Yeah.
Auditor General, the effectiveness of an audit committee function is not just that it has been constituted. We must also check whether it has been reporting, at least on a quarterly basis, and then go deeper into the nature of those reports. So maybe, I think the response says that the committee is in place, but that's just a starting point.
Yes.
You must query whether they're reporting to the board.
Which we are going to do in 2023, Chair.
Okay.
To see that it is effective.
Yeah. The issue of remuneration, I think that cuts across all county assemblies, and it's something that the Senate can discuss with the SRC. And again, if that illegal thing called CAF was effective, these are the things that CAF would be talking about. You wouldn't have to come to the Senate to ask for these things. Already CAF would be seized of them and would be pursuing them. The ICT policy, we are told it is in draft form. How come it has not been approved? Clerk?
Oh, thank you, Chair. The management of the Assembly, sorry, has done its bit. It is now in the board. The board must be able to, to approve so that it's put in place.
When did the management submit it to the board?
It's submitted October this year.
Chair of the board, did you receive the draft
I
policy?
can confirm that the draft has been submitted to the board, and actually it is one of the. It's not that one alone, because also I have the strategic plan which has also been submitted. So as a board, we are compiling all the policies which we are supposed to process, so that we can pass them as a board before we submit them to the assembly. And I think I want to take my undertaking that by March we will have completed that issue, Chair.
Why do you send the ICT policy to the assembly?
No, the strategic plans and others, for the purpose of going through. And you know, especially the strategic plan, most of the issues they touch the words of the MCS.
Why does a strategic plan have to go to the legislature?
Well, it is a situation we found that as we came on board, and maybe as the new board, maybe because also we are learning as we are their chair, because that's the custom of the assemblies, that whenever the strategic plan is complete, the service board has approved it, goes to the assembly for approval.
You know, policy is and we've dealt with it even with the executive. Policy is the responsibility of the executive. Legislation and regulation is a responsibility of the legislature. If you're going to take all your policies to the assembly, you'll not be able to move. The next day you have a diversity policy like what we are saying, you have to send it to the assembly. The assembly will then be dealing with things that are management in nature rather than strategic. The only policy that ought to go to the assembly are those that have such a strategic and significant impact. In Parliament, we'll call them sessional papers. So you are coming up with a new policy on education. That's significant. That should come as a sessional paper. You are coming up with a new agricultural sector transformation, growth strategy or policy. That should come to the legislature. But a policy on per diems, a policy on interest, a policy on ICT, that can be dealt with at the board level. That is what good corporate governance requires. So this thing of we are waiting to take it to the assembly should never arise as an excuse for not having the policy. So, Speaker, now that we have made that clear, when is the board approving this policy? March is too far.
I think, Chair, because I think my vice can confirm, we are having our board meeting on 13 to 17. I think we are going to pass it. Then, as you have advised us, we will adopt it as the board, and it will be on operational then.
Please prioritize it.
Yeah.
If you wish to take all your policies to the assembly, it's up to you. But remember, you've got more work oversighting the executive. If you want to fill the interest of the assembly with policy documents, what time will you have to scrutinize legislation and budgets and plans and delivery of the county executive? So don't do business with yourselves. Do business with the executive, because that's your constitutional duty. So we say that if it was submitted in October, then perhaps by end of the second quarter. End of second quarter is 31st December. Yeah, so let's give ourselves that as a target for its approval. Let's very quickly go to the issues that were raised in the financial year 2021-2022. Again, Auditor General, what was the opinion here?
The opinion, Chair, is qualified opinion.
And what was the basis of the opinion?
The basis of opinion was about unexplained voided transaction, Chair.
Okay.
If you allow me to read, is review of the Integrated Financial Management Information System, IFMIS, payment indicate that 999 transactions amounting to 179,292,886, which had been approved by the controller budget, were avoided during the year under review. Management has attributed voiding of this transaction to lack of funds to pay an error in one of the payment request badges. However, no evidence was provided to show that the voidable transaction were paid in the financial year 2022-2023. In the circumstance, the accuracy and completeness of financial statement could not be confirmed. Thank you, Chair.
Your response, County Assembly.
Thank you, Chair. The management response is here as follows. That an analysis of the integrated financial management information system payments indicated that transaction totaling to Kenya shillings 179,292,806 were voided during financial year 2021-2022. This was due to the following three major reasons. A, variations of monthly exchequer requisitions. That there were exchequer requisition variations in development expenditure applications. The County Assembly made exchequer requisitions based on approved certificate of payment from the works officers. However, approvals by the Executive Committee member for Finance were based on available funds. This led to a voiding of a number of transactions amounting to Kenya shillings 90,966,354.65. Annex 1A, schedule of voided transactions amounting to Kenya shillings 9,966,354.65. Chair. B, sorry. Error in payment request badge. Transactions in the Integrated Financial Management System, IFMIS, are normally processed and transferred in badges to the internet banking interface. In this case, if a single transaction in a given batch has an error in effect, it affects the whole batch, and the user is forced to void all transactions in the batch to rectify the error. In the financial year 2021-2022, a payment request number KISII Assembly 30/08/2021/001 created on 30th August 2021 had an error which led to voiding of transactions of a total of Kenya shillings 19,675,052. This error was rectified and the transactions reprocessed and paid in the same financial year 2021-2022. Annex 1B, schedule of voided transactions amounting to Kenya shillings 19,675,052. C, end of financial year. Sorry. Transactions worth Kenya shillings 68,651,480 were voided at the end of the financial year 2021-2022 due to lack of funds. This included 28,136,619 declared as pending bills in the financial year 2022-2023. Other reasons for voiding transactions included change of circulars sorry, and reprioritization of committee programs and activities. Annex 1C, schedules of voided transactions amounting to Kenya shillings 68,651,480. Thank you, Chair.
Auditor General, what's your opinion on that explanation?
Yes, they really provided the documents except the 40 million, which still remain voided, Chair. And this is where we're asking the committee to give direction because it's really affecting significant counties. And the reason for voiding payment could not really be clear, Chair, because it had been approved by Controller Budget.
What do you define as voided payment? Clerk, what is your understanding of voided payment?
Chair, thank you. These are cancelled transactions during the process of payment.
Cancelled transactions?
Yes, Chair.
Where the Controller of Budget has approved?
Not yet, not yet.
The finding of the Auditor General is that 999 transactions which had been approved by the Controller of Budget. Which had been approved by the Controller of Budget. That's a finding the Auditor General has made. Auditor General, you confirm that?
Yeah, according to the explanation by the Auditor General and confirmation is that it had been approved by COB.
So once the controller of budget has approved the requisition, why would you void that transaction?
Chair, thank you. Maybe I can give the Director of Finance also to talk on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This issue relates with the process of requisition of funds by way of us having to pass through the county executive. We have a controller of budget who is based in the counties, a representative of the office, and the chief finance officer of the county executive. We normally do the application through them, and they can approve. But the payment, like in our case now, if I concentrate on this case, this was a case that was to finance committee activities. But during this period, we had some political changes, frequent political changes, that you could have a chairman or the clerk and the speaker having differences towards the election period. So you would have a chairman with programs, but because of the delay of funding and the change in the composition of committee, the programs are changed midway. So the composition of, due to change of composition of the committees, the programs could be changed midway before we do the actual payment. Then now we are forced to redo again. That's actually what happened during that period because of the political pressures.
The programs could be changed halfway.
Yeah.
And then you disregard the requisition and start again.
Yes, we start again.
When you disregard that requisition, how does a controller of budget know that you disregarded it?
We'll again seek reapproval for the new activities.
What about the one that the controller of budget had approved?
We'll cancel.
How does the controller of budget have it on record that, yes, this was approved, but because of infighting in the assembly, they've changed priorities.
Yes.
Now this should not have been paid. There's a different requisition.
We will do explanations at that point of seeking approval.
Of a new one?
Yeah, and that's why the record will not disappear. You will still have the record in the system for the auditor to come and look at.
There will be a record at the control of budget that
Yes.
you requisitioned 5 shillings
Yes.
for a committee activity.
Yes.
There will be another record that you requisitioned 4 shillings
Yes.
for another committee activity.
Yes.
Now, the 5 shilling one, you've changed your mind about it.
Yes.
Then you've gone ahead and requisitioned another 4 shillings.
Yes.
The control of budget has got a 5 shilling requisition and a 4 shilling requisition, which indicates that you have asked for 9 shillings, isn't it? So how does the control of budget reconcile that 5 shilling requisition, the initial one, now needs to be struck off?
If I may put it clear, using your example, we requisitioned for 5 shillings.
Yes.
We've gotten it because it is for a committee, and we have the liaison committee, which is in charge of the committees. The requisition now will be internal. The approvals will be internal. And if you look at what is voided, it's basically for going to people. And ultimately, the balance, because we are working with a budget, will still be within the budget. There's no way we will expand to 9 shillings. We'll still be within the 5 shillings that was requisitioned. We'll still spend the 5 shillings that was requisitioned.
Will you have misrepresented facts to the control of budget?
I think, Chair, true.
Order. Will you have misrepresented certain facts to the control of budget?
To a certain extent.
What does Section 29 of the Control of Budgets Act say? Legal? Or was it 29 or the relevant? Because I want us to deal with that part of misrepresentation. It is an offense. Senator Sifuna, maybe you can go on record as...
thank you.
Let Senator Sifuna go on record, then you can read it.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Edwin Sifuna, Senator Nairobi, a member of this committee. Apologies, we were dealing with your counterparts from...
You're welcome. Yes, please proceed.
Through the Chair, the section is Section 22.
Okay.
It says, a person who knowingly submits false information or misleading commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a term of imprisonment not exceeding 2 years or to a fine not exceeding 5 million shillings or both.
So, Director, why shouldn't you be in prison?
The reason why I'm saying the facts may not entirely be misrepresented, because when we are seeking funds from the controller budget, is on a specific vote, and that is the exact vote that we spend the money on. It's only that...
Leave alone the language of votes. Let's go with the language of activities.
Yes.
You have requisitioned for 5 shillings for a specific activity.
Yes.
Then you've decided you're not doing that activity. That time the control of budget has already approved. You have the money. Then you use it for a different activity. Isn't that the situation here?
No, it is a committee activity. It is still a committee activity.
But not the one that was requisitioned for. You can say that I want this committee to go to Dubai. Then you get the money and decide you're going to Makueni. It's still a committee activity, isn't it?
Yes.
But are the details the same?
When we were requisitioning the money from the controller budget, we don't exactly state these activities. We only finance the committee. It is the committee that is in charge of the program. So the control, like from where we sit, the finance people, we don't control the calendar for the members of the county assembly or the particular committee.
Now, you've said all those things about committees. Come back to your response.
Yeah.
Come back to your written response, and let's deal with what is before us, because we've been dealing with a lot of speculation. Variations of monthly exchequer requisitions. Can you explain what that is? It didn't make sense to the Auditor General. It has not made sense to the Treasury. It has not made sense to any party on this side. Variations of monthly exchequer requisitions. Can you, Clerk, explain to us?
Okay. Thank you, Chairman. In these variations, what it here means that the requisitions were made to a certain extent of amount that you are required, having come from the works officers. However, because we are entirely not independent, sometimes the minister or the Minister for Finance in the executive has the powers to determine how much they are giving us, because this is part of development money. So he'll say, for example, this is the amount we have, we don't have the full amount. So they will vary. Once they have varied, it will come back for us again to redo the requisition.
You see, you had asked your officer to help you on the initial question of whether these transactions had been approved by the controller of budget. And it took us on a long story.
Yes.
And even revealed that you've been in breach of the Control of Budgets Act.
No,
no, that's what we have established. Is submission read against the Act? You guys have been doing funny things.
Not just the Act, the Constitution.
Senator Mtata.
Yes, my Chair, the Constitution, and I'll read for you Article 228, clauses 4 to 6, so you realize the gravity of this matter. It says the controller of budget shall oversee the implementation of the budgets of the national and county governments by authorizing withdrawals from public funds. It's not a consolidated fund, it's talking about public funds. So the county revenue fund is a public fund. It's under the supervision of the control of budget. So any money that is there, you cannot just use it the way you want. You must use it for the purpose for which it was approved. Then you go to Article 5, Clause 5, it says the controller shall not approve any withdrawal from a public fund unless satisfied that the withdrawal is authorized by law. Then it goes on and says, every 4 months the controller shall submit to each House of Parliament a report on the implementation of the budgets of the national and county governments. Now, if the controller has approved, makes a report and submits to us, and then the counties are doing their own things, you are even fooling Parliament. You know, the thing is so grave that people should be in jail and people are just joking around like you are running a kiosk. It's not a kiosk. It's a public office. It's anchored in the Constitution. The fellow we hold responsible is the control of budget as Parliament. And if you are giving control of budget data to mislead them, I expect that if there is any variation, it must be authorized by the control of budget. Saying this money we have it, what you wanted to do has failed, or you have changed our priorities, can you please allow us to use it in a new way? You don't just say it's at the discretion of the county, bora pesa imeingia, then you use it the way you want. The law is very clear. And what you have done, it goes up to Parliament. Then Parliament relies on these reports to allocate more funds, to decide, to budget, to do whatever. So if the information is false, you mess up the whole country. That's what I wanted to underscore, Chairman.
And it's not the first time we are dealing with this. Just last week in Trans Nzoia, we were dealing with a similar situation. And the example that we gave, one of our committee members, Senator Cherargei, is a signatory to the Parliamentarian Circle. Now, the Parliamentarian Circle will bring him a check of 10 million to sign. Attached to the check is a schedule of members who should get loans, maybe 10 members. Once he has signed that check, should the manager of the circle go and change the list of beneficiaries? Isn't that fraud?
Fraud.
And isn't that exactly what you guys do? Mr. Speaker?
Chair, I think let me go on record that we don't change the schedule of payment we get from COP. That one I can confirm that whatever we receive from COP is what we pay to the exactly beneficiaries. But Chair, what I can say, I don't know what's, okay, I don't want to comment on what he has said, but let me say this, Chair. It is true that we do our requisitions through the executive, through the Minister for Finance, and through the COP in the county level. And you see, the COP at the county level is not the one who approves the amount we get to our account in Central Bank. It is the COP in the national here, Nairobi. So at any point, for example, we're having a contract or any work, like now, I am building the house for the speaker. The public work can give me a certificate of 10 million, which I requisition to the Minister for Finance and to the COP in the county level. But sometimes once we have done the requisition, the amount is not enough what I have requisitioned. That's what he was saying, that we are now forced to change the requisition, a phrase. But we don't change the requisition which has been approved by the COP from Nairobi. And it cannot be changed in any way. It cannot be, that amount cannot be spent in other activity.
Okay,
Yeah.
Control of budget is sitting here. Theodora, what is your view on this particular finding?
This has been a challenging issue in the COB, whereby most of the counties are diverting the funds. They don't change the requisition. We approve a requisition, yes, but what they do when the funds reach the county, the accounting officer diverts the funds to other uses. So that for us has been a challenge, and we are looking into ways of mitigating this issue. Yeah.
National Treasury?
Thank you, National Treasury. Thank you, Chair. Thank you. I had not gone on record. Probably that's why I look confused.
Yeah, even though
confusion has gone, if you allow me.
I'd reported that you had gone to get some circular.
Yes, my name is Dr. Cyrus Munywa. I'm a parliamentary liaison officer attached to this committee. Thank you for this chance. When I was away, I was actually consulting on this matter because the matter is actually disturbing. And in my consultation chair, as much as I know that accountants actually make mistakes or errors, either commission or omission, when you make such an error, you need to correct. All the reasons you are giving notwithstanding. But Chair, the National Treasury realized that county government and other accounting agencies were actually abusing this right to make the corrections. They do their own things. That correction is what is referred to here as voiding. Initially, Chair, as I explained to you during the briefing, no one would void at the county level or at the ministry level. We used to work with the payment vouchers to the National Treasury for assistance to do those particular corrections through auto-reconciliation and voiding. But once the National Treasury realized the mischief that is going on, Chair, now the National Treasury developed some guidelines. Right now, for any county government to do a voiding, they have to write a letter, make justifications. You show the need to void a payment. But Chair, there is no payment that can be voided once it is at IB level, the internet banking, because that would open a window for malpractice. So, Chair, it is not the National Treasury that do the voiding now, but the county government, and the Speaker, you can support this if it's true. They write a letter, Chair. Once they have justified, a window is opened for them so that they can do the voiding. And that window is temporary, Chair. They don't remain with it. After that transaction has been done, the window is closed so that they don't misuse it. So, Chair, the whole issue is now under control because of that justification and the letter that they have to write. And before that authority is given, even the county government here can, the county assembly can confirm it's quite rigorous, Chair. I rest my case, Chair.
Auditor General?
And maybe what Dr. Munywa is saying, Chair, if we could get that communication so that in 2023 we can use it as part of the KIV to check the current voided payment.
Okay. ESCC, is this a matter that has come to your attention?
Thank you, Chair. It is a challenge, and I think the control of budget has slightly put it. Diversion, budgetary diversion. They may remain there voided, but that money end up being used for other things that have not been budgeted for. And you know it's an offense. So when you divert that money, like in our colleague was saying, other activities, the program come, and they have not been budgeted for, they had not been approved, then you find that the ones that had been budgeted for and had been approved, and the controller of budget has already released the funds, they remain as pending bills. And the pending bills continue escalating. Yet you are financing other activities that have not been approved. They are not within the work plan. And it becomes a challenge because it opens a loophole for even embezzlement of funds. What are these activities that you are financing now and they have not been budgeted for? Have you created for your own benefit? Those are the issues. And that loophole remains a challenge even to the Commission. Thank you, Chair.
Now, as I indicated, last week we were discussing a similar matter in Trans Nzoia, and the governor Trans Nzoia did not take too much time to defend the county government. He admitted that there's been a time when people, but particularly the final approver, is that approver too? The final approver, does he still have super user rights in terms of determining who gets paid at the end of the process? Clerk?
Oh, the final approval, no. You have to consult.
The gentleman to your left seems to be the man with the boots on the ground. Is it possible to change the details of the final payment? Has that always been the case?
No, previously it could happen.
Around which financial year was that sorted out?
2021, 2022.
2021, 2022,
yes. Around the same time? Yeah, we're having this problem.
Because again, what worries me is the number of transactions. 999 transactions here. An average of 3 transactions per day, voided in a year. So, we need to, perhaps, as we had discussed earlier, ask ourselves whether the problem is some gaps in the system or it is a gap in processes, or it is just criminality on the part of the people who look after money in our counties. And I think this requires some further consultation amongst these different stakeholders to find out if that system gap that used to exist has now been closed. Then we need to ask ourselves whether this matter will be recurring. And if it's not a system problem, then is it a process or a procedure problem? Which the National Treasury has clearly indicated that even at the end of year process, they do not encourage voiding of transactions that have already been approved. That auto-reconciliation should not affect those that have already been approved. So there seems to be a solution at the system level. There seems to be a solution at the process level. If this keeps recurring, then I think the problem would be the users themselves, who are taking advantage to divert funds, as has been suspected by the COB and the EACC. So we'll treat this matter from that perspective, but we'll allow the Auditor General in his current audit to just scan across the 47 counties, executive and assemblies, whether this matter keeps recurring or whether it was a problem of the past. But even if it does not recur, we must still deal with the criminal elements of some of these actions, because some of it, that misrepresentation, you heard Senator Mtata say very clearly that the control of budget has an obligation to report to Parliament on the basis of the information that you submit to them. So what you submit to the control of budget should never be different from the reality. When that happens, it's misrepresentation, it is an offense, it is triable, you can be jailed or you can be fined, and will not hesitate to invoke some of those provisions of the law. So I think with that, we must keep this in view, Auditor General. We will not mark it as closed, but we'll keep it in view, but we'll consult internally on how to handle these cases.
Thank you, Chair, because it's affecting quite a number.
Okay. Fine. So going forward to budgetary control and performance, we will take your response on record. We had also made the same decision and resolved prior year matters. We have just dealt with the 2021 report. Irregular recruitment of board employees, Auditor General, has this now been addressed to your satisfaction?
Yeah, it was regularized through the board committee chair, board.
Okay, irregular payments to interdicted employees?
Yeah, the employees have come back, but they were to provide me with how they really sort out with the court issue, whether the employees withdrew the case. I was to really check.
That has not been provided?
Yes, maybe they are provided now so that we can be able to close.
But if you had not seen it,
yes,
then we cannot take any evidence at this point.
Yeah, maybe it can be 7 days or not even 7 days, 3 days, Chair, to confirm how the employees came back because they had taken the issue to court.
Within 3 days, just provide the Auditor General the relevant information. The 1/3 rule in employment, we have talked about the diversity policy in the prior year. That should be dealt with. 1/3 basic salary rule. This one should not be happening. I know that with further payslip deductions, the situation can easily get worse because you've got a new, is it 2.5%? A new 2.5% on payslips.
Yeah.
So it might aggravate the situation.
And the chair, this was because of the interdicted employees who came back, and so the situation was rectified.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but make sure, even with these new taxes that Senator Omtata has really fought hard against, that the 1/3 basic salary rule is observed. Irregular payment of subscription fees, this is SOCAT. It is our position that SOCAT is not grounded in law, and therefore any subscription to a body that is not grounded in law is an irregular charge. Our prescription has been to surcharge the accounting officers who have made those decisions. So, Mr. Clerk, this 1.5 million, once the House adopts a report, shall be recovered from you. And that is the reason why we gave a window of 2 weeks when CAF appeared, when the Vice Chair of CAF appeared here as the Speaker of Machakos and said, we are willing to sit and talk and address these things, but nobody is talking to the Senate. These illegal bodies, the SOCATs and the CAFs, we know they exist and we know that they are illegal. We are willing to come and listen to what they aspire to do and agree on a framework for their regularization. Because all the things that these bodies say they are supposed to do are supposed to be done by the Senate under Article 96 to defend and protect the interests of counties and their governments. County governments include the county executive and the county assembly. So instead of paying 1.5 million to SOCAT, 5 million to CAF, 6.5 million, that money can be better used to perhaps improve the legislative ability of members of that county assembly. I have also given the example of a matter of circulars where CAF is sitting pretty, having received almost 200 million from 47 county assemblies, and it is the Speaker for Embu who has gone to court to challenge a matter that affects all members of county assembly. So, for those and for many reasons, these contributions to SOCAT and contributions to CAF shall be charged to the individuals who have made the decisions to continue supporting illegal organizations. The next issue is on unutilized buildings. We are informed, I think it's what we have discussed, that's the headquarters. And then the last issue there is non-functional audit committee. We have said that it's not just about constituting it, but whether its reports are being considered by the County Assembly Service Board. That brings us to the end of those 2 financial years. And you can see, Mr. Speaker and Mr. Clerk, that many of the issues in that report are issues that could have been addressed at the time of audit. Please pull up your socks, work with the Office of the Auditor General, and we would like that would require partnership between the County Assembly and the Senate. Chairman, Public Accounts Committee, KISII County Assembly. Has your committee had time to look at these reports?
Chair, my committee has already done reports to the Assembly. We have made a raft of recommendations on these queries for the Auditor General, and indeed the Assembly has approved both reports in the Assembly. Mr. Chairman, this issue of unsupported claims on travel, domestic and foreign, we were able to call the liaison officer to our committee. He explained to us they are properly trained themselves in the office, and indeed they have called our managers from the wards to be trained so that they can be able to comply issues on KRA matters and the like. Mr. Chairman, the other matters we came across, a serious one, is on the rate exchequer releases, which delays programs, and indeed we call upon the Senate to work hard so that the counties get the money in time so that we can do our programs. The other issue is autonomy on financial matters, and as the Speaker said, it's very, very, it has put delays so that you get the executive normally delays to approve their exchequer requisitions. It becomes a big problem, and normally in counties we have had calls, both speakers and the members of the county assembly, is because of delays in releasing resources to the counties. And even on development, it becomes a big challenge. So indeed, as a chair on PAC in KISII County, I'm happy. I've run a lot from you, Chair. We should learn to implement some of the areas we have not really done. I'm so happy that some of the recommendations we have brought here is what we recommended as a committee in the House. And indeed, I'm calling upon the service board to ensure that our recommendations are adhered to, they're implemented, like the ICT policy, as we had insisted that, as they said, by March, that policy must be in place and running. That's what we also in the Assembly we have recommended, and the Assembly passed. So, Chair, we were happy with this, and I request you, as a Chair, please come count this, come state us committees of PAC, so that we can be able to do these things together in ensuring that the resources are put to the right place once a budget has been passed. The issue of these void transactions, I have been the Assembly since 2013. And one time, the last Assembly was the majority in the KISII County. Is a big problem. Yeah, I show it happening. The Assembly will apply for the money. The executive budget approves. When money comes, when it comes to the Assembly, they disperse the amount which was not the question of Chair, sir. That's why you find those transactions coming in. And the Assembly has worked hard. And I want to thank the clerk. They have done a lot of work on this. And we want to work together as a team so that we do good work for KISII County and the rest of the nation. Thank you, Chair, and prepare for this.
Thank you, Chairman, and we want to encourage you. I hope that before you return the mic, for the county executive, where are you?
We are currently doing it for 2022. We have invited officers we feel can come and assist the committee in our meeting. We are starting the interview with them on next week on Tuesday for the executive report.
So for the earlier years, you have done a report
yes,
that has been adopted by the House?
Yes.
Okay, so please liaise with our clerk so that we can also get a copy of your reports of whatever was tabled and adopted.
Yeah.
It will be very useful for us also.
Thank you. Chair, also I want to thank the Auditor General. I normally communicate to him. We have not met, but he has sent his officers to us to assist us. I want to thank him for what he has done for us. So we work together with the Auditor General to ensure that the work is done is supposed to be done.
I'm happy to hear that, and because I was suspecting you wanted him to move to KISII.
No. No, I normally call him, where of challenges, I normally call him thus he can assist us.
His office shall remain in Homa Bay.
Yes. But the officers come to KISII to audit their books. Yeah. So normally I can't go to the officers direct. I'll pass through him. Okay. That's normally what I do.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Let me allow two of my members who are in the other subcommittee to go on record. We were actually just winding up, but let the delegation know you.
Good morning, everybody. Through the chair, Cherargei Kiprotich is my name. I think all the MCA should be knowing me by now, unless you are new in Jerusalem. Senator Nandi County and the substantive vice chair of the committee. We were just, through the chair, we were just from the Kericho County Assembly, which also we are considering the also. Are we allowed to make closing remarks?
Okay. Yes, you found us at that point, but let's say...
Thank you, my brother chair. This is your brother from the other corner. I come from Narakanidi. I don't know how close we are. Ingakimuri? Good, thank you very much. My name is Mwenda Kataya Mofaya, Senator Narakanidi County. I'm a member of this committee. In the Senate also I chair Committee on Delegated Administration. And I'm happy chair because we were able to disperse us to other subcommittee. And these are my brothers from KISII. With Merus and KISII are just one of the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Senators. So we were at the tail end. I think I will ask the Speaker to make final comments on behalf of the delegation, and then the Senators present will make final remarks, if any.
I think, Chair, we are very grateful for the reception, because sometimes some of us who are coming to the Senate for the first time, what we have found out it is that the Senate, it is like a place where we come to get more knowledge, how to administer the resources of various institutions where we are learning. We are very grateful that what we have told us, what we have learned from the committee, we are going to implement and ensure that actually we have given service delivery to the people of KISII, and that the utilization of resources is well put in place, because the people have believed on us in managing their resources. So we will ensure that whatever you have recommended, Chair, we will follow it and we will make sure that it is been put into place. As we come to the next financial years, we will ensure that we have improved to ensure that everything will be in order, especially the issue of employment, as Senator Omotata said. We will ensure that, because my vice chair is here of the service board, as we will be advertising for these positions, I think he has advised as well that we must make sure that at least 30% is set aside for the communities, because this is something which has never come to our mind. We had been advertising and waiting people to apply, and especially again, what Senator Meto said, especially in my office, and through the experience on Senator Motata, we will take undertaking that some of those positions now, like the Speaker, I am free to hire. I will make sure that we bring other tribes so that we can see we can meet the percentage requirements of to avoid the future audit questions. Thank you, Chair. We are very grateful.
Okay, please invest in this committee so that whatever the Senate is able to do, they are also able to do. We use the same set of laws, it's the same constitution, it's the same PFM Act, the same PFM regulation. So please put an investment in the staff that supports that committee. The same way we have demonstrated to you the caliber of staff that we have, that we are able to do 2 meetings. We are able to do 2 meetings on the same day, and we are still getting support from our secretariat. Please invest in your public accounts committee. Senator Gataya, if anything in closing?
You know, Chair, I've not been able to engage my brothers, but I'm very sure once you come here, this is a learning exposure, you know, we are your senior brothers. And I'm very sure the Chair has been able to guide you on some issues where you think you have not been able to comply. So I think next time, now that you have learned, please make sure that you go home and rectify where you have been not doing things right. You know, running is a process. When you get time, you can come there to visit you in KISII and get to know much more about KISII. Thank you.
And for the record, the Senator KISII is absent with apologies. He's a substantive member of this committee, but is out with the Finance Committee, which is visiting Kakamega. So his apologies are on record. Senator Mtata, in closing.
Yes, Chair, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Clerk, as you have seen yourself, there's nothing here that should have brought you to this place. You're just being negligent. I expect, as the Chair said, next time you come, we discuss other things, you get a report that is not qualified. Because this was within the grasp of an unqualified report, but you see you had a lot of, I'll just call it negligence. So if you can fix it, I think you should get a good report next time and we discuss other things that I'm sure you would like the intervention of the Senate on the ground, instead of us discussing this stuff, as the Chair had said. Thank you, Chairman. That's all.
Thank you, Senator Mtata. Vice Chair?
I think what I can say is to wish the KISII County Assembly all the best. I want to encourage you that do the needful, do the work that you are supposed to do, especially on oversight, and so that the people of KISII can get value for services. I think most of the time we try and as Senate to ensure you get enough resources to see service delivery and development in KISII County. So please ensure those, even up to the single penny, is fully accounted for. Three things I want to say is that Senate has been very supportive, and the Chair and all the members who are seated here, to ensure that, one, the issue of Ward Development Fund is anchored in the Constitution to allow that every MCA has a right to get the resources and be devolved, because the intention of the devolution under Article 174 was to have devolution up to the village level. So with that in mind, I hope as MCAs through CAF, County Assemblies Forum, and AMCA, you should be able to ensure anything short of that, especially in the outcomes that we expect in the future, you must put your foot down. Number two is financial autonomy. I think it was read the first time in Senate last week. We want to give you financial autonomy so that you can run your own things. You don't depend on charity. And whether the governor is happy or sad, it determines whether you get the money or not. So that is another aspect. Number three, and finally, is on the welfare of members of county assembly and capacity issues. I think we are on the tail end. We already have a proposal, and I think through AMCA and CAF, you are aware of that proposal. We are just waiting for one small meeting with SRC and relevant stakeholders to just give a nod to ensure our MCAs are well capacitated, not well remunerated, are well capacitated to discharge their work. And the Senate has been very supportive, Chair and everybody, Mtata, Senator Gataya. We want to ensure you are as comfortable as possible to discharge your job. And we hope, speakers, the forum, I know you are very supportive, but let's keep on until what I can say just in conclusion is that, Chair, the issue of CAB and AMCA, you need to push to ensure it's anchored in law so that when you pay subscription, you don't need to violate the law. And I think the Speaker, the Chair has amply said that. Through the Chair, what I can say in one sentence is that this is the County Assembly's moment. If you want this thing, it must be done during this session, because across the political divide, all of us agree the issues MCAs are raising and speakers are cross-cutting issues, and it is for the benefit of all Kenyans. So use this moment to push those agendas. Chair, with that indulgence, thank you very much. Senator Richard Onyonga is a very good, is a seasoned parliamentarian, and I know Chair might have indicated earlier on, please use him as a resource also in the County Assembly, because parliamentary procedures. He understands very well. And even your governor served with us in the last session, I myself at the chair. So please, and your former, is it your predecessor? Senator Ongeri was also the chair of this committee at some point. So KISII is a place where we are proud of, and we expect a lot of good things to come from KISII. Safe journey back as you go to KISII. Continue working for the betterment of our people. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Thank you, Chair.
I think in conclusion, you have a friend in the Senate. You've got a big brother in the Senate. Let's take advantage of the goodwill that exists for us to deal with some of the obstacles that have come up in our conversations. Senator Cherargei has made continued references to CAF and AMCA, which are initially described as illegal organizations. They still remain illegal organizations. So let's take advantage of that goodwill to regularize what we need to regularize and to push for the issues that the Senate can push for. It is this Senate that can revise your ceilings. It is this Senate that can, through the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, or CARA, allow you to undertake certain projects of a capital nature in case you need to. So you must now start understanding and appreciating how the Senate fits into your financial arrangements, how the Senate fits into your legislative arrangements. We no longer see the county assemblies participating in legislation, through public participation. Yet the Council of Governors, for every single law, the Council of Governors will send a memorandum. So those things, those sockets and cuffs of yours, those are the things we should be seeing them doing. If they are not doing those things, then we are not seeing value from them and will not be sympathetic. We will impose a surcharge on those contributions until we start seeing them doing the right things. So I hope that this has been a useful session, and I hope that the next report will be shorter. Sumaili, I'd assumed you are here from the beginning. I take note that you're present.
Thank you, Chair. I'm David Ismail from the Office of the Auditor General Liaison Officer. I was in the other committee.
Which had very few issues, and you are able to finish very quickly. So there's no reason why KISII County cannot be like your neighbors Bomet, which had an unqualified opinion, cannot be like Kajiado, which had an unqualified opinion, and cannot be like Kericho, which we've been able to process by subcommittee in less than 1 hour. We wish you safe journeys back home, and
No, we will come, obviously. And you see, we have learned a lot. Thank you very much. Yes.